Recently, I had a situation with the Tallahassee Police Department where they yet again didn't do anything about a crime. Now, I've spoken throughout several podcast episodes. I've said good things about TPD, and I've also said bad things. And I've mentioned times when they've helped me, and I've also mentioned times where they seem to be lazy and they did nothing when someone was clearly committing a crime. So, most recently, as many of you know if you keep up with my podcast shows, Jonathan Dean, who I've had problems with for quite a while now, went out of his way to show up to my job and threatened me, specifically said he was gonna knock my teeth in for speaking bad about his wife, which I later clarified in later podcast episodes and throughout the internet that at that point in time, I hadn't said anything necessarily bad about his wife. Regardless, making a direct threat to someone, telling someone that you are going to do XYZ to harm them, whether that's you saying that you're going to stab them, whether you're going to knock their teeth out, whether you're going to physically put their hands on, it could be anything. Threatening someone is a crime and can't be punished just as bad as if you actually did what you say you are going to do. The reason why I didn't immediately go to the police department is because I'm used to dealing with people like Dean, and I knew that they wouldn't do anything about it, even though they very clearly should. So I took matters into my own hands by confronting Jonathan online, where we had a back and forth conversation where he did not at all deny what happened that afternoon in the parking lot. Talking it out was not an option for him. Letting things slide and forgetting about it wasn't an option. The only solution that he would offer would be to fight. And then most recently, to be exact, on January 12th, he DM'd a friend of mine in that text message. A matter of fact, I will pull it up to make sure that I don't misspeak. Dean DM'd one of my friends. He said any time and place. So I showed up to his work and asked what the fuck he wanted to talk about. I've never seen someone so terrified, visually shaking, voice cracking. Yes, sir. He's a psychopath, but clearly right enough in his mind to know when to shut the fuck up. Honestly, Dean has only helped make himself stupid. I never understood the concept. This is something that has happened a lot, specifically with girls. If I get on here and say anything bad about girls in general, I could be saying girls act like bitches, girls are hoes, girls like to play the victim card. And then a group of girls who hear my content, they'll get upset. And then they'll tell me, oh, we're not those things. And they proceed to prove me wrong by being a bitch to me, or by creating a situation and then playing victim as if they're not the ones who started all of this. And then the whole Jonathan Dean situation, he showed up to my place of work after I made a podcast episode about him. And in that podcast episode, I specifically stated that he's out of control. He can't handle his anger, and he's completely out of control. It's extremely obvious. And he proved my point when he showed up to my job and insinuated a fight and continued to insinuate violence through Instagram. I genuinely don't understand this foreign concept of we don't agree with what Adonis is saying, so let's prove him right, let's prove him wrong by proving his point. But it doesn't make Jonathan look good because he's all over the internet bragging about how he showed up to my job and threatened me and scared me. Whether or not he actually scared me is irrelevant. The fact that he intended to scare me is bad enough. Like, let's just pretend that Jonathan is being 100% honest here for a moment. Let's pretend that I actually was terrified and he managed to scare the crap out of me when he showed up and threatened me. He's clearly admitting the fact that he tracked me down to threaten me. is that really something to be proud of, dude? Like, oh, I have an issue with a guy, so I went to his job and scared the crap out of him. Is that really something that you think is going to make you look good? Is that really something that you think you should be proud of? Once he sent my friend that text, people had been begging me to put in a police report since this whole thing started, and I was like, what's the point? So then that thing's happened with my friend. I'm like, you know what? He's clearly stating in this text that he's literally telling the first half of what he's saying is true, which is that he came to my job to threaten me. As far as I'm concerned, that's a confession. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, does this guy want to go to jail? Is this guy committed a crime and is now bragging about it over the internet? If you're gonna commit a crime, you don't brag about it. You most certainly don't put it in writing. And you most certainly don't talk about it with the person that you know is gonna post about it and expose you for it. So I put in a police report, shared the screenshots, shared the evidence, told him everything what happened. The officer that was assigned the case, she even said to me at one point, she said, so let me get this straight. You made a podcast episode about him, basically stating that your problem was not that he could tie with you, but that he slandered your name. And he then proceeded to show up to your job and threaten you for it. And I said, yeah, that actually sums up everything pretty well. So I'm thinking this guy's definitely gonna go to jail because he himself is literally shoving the evidence down our throats at this point. Honestly, at this point, I don't think it even matters if I take time out of my day to post about it on my Instagram or make a podcast episode about it. He's doing it himself by bragging about it to everybody. Anyway, this is the conversation I had with the police officer after the fact.
Safety Tribune at Tallahassee Police Department.
Hey, it's Adonis Ortiz. I was just calling you back.
Yes, sir. I was just trying to continue our conversation we were having about why we were not going to be able to pursue criminal charges at this moment.
Okay.
So, like I was stating, as of right now, we will be documenting it in a incident report, just so you still have that case number, just so you do have documentation of everything that happened. It's just, at the moment, it's not going to go any further than that, and our best advice for you would be to not contact Mr. Dean again, do not do anything to basically, how do I correctly say this?
To provoke him?
Yes.
Well, I do have a couple thoughts. Number one, you did say that the images were cropped. I can resend the uncropped versions if that's a problem. I'm fine with, I could send the uncropped versions.
Well, the photos themselves, what they do show, it's still going to be the same situation where we're not going to be able to go any further with it, because right now it's a back and forth situation with both of you. You are engaging in it.
Well, I understand that I have engaged, but I would argue that me talking to him has helped, because he has admitted several times, both to me and to others publicly, that he showed up to my job and threatened me. He's literally bragging about how he threatened me at my job. He has literally said in writing that he showed up to my job to look for me. Regardless if I respond or how I feel about the situation, a threat is still a threat and should be treated as such.
Yes, but when it comes down to after the threat, you continue to engage with him and make podcasts and trigger him further, then it comes to play as your responses come from the things you do.
Okay, he was the one who made threats to me. Not, I didn't do anything wrong. Once again, how I react to him threatening me should not matter at all. At the end of the day, it's who committed the crime. We have freedom of speech in this country. I can say whatever I want about anybody, especially if it's true, which I have proof that it is, as he himself is not just admitting about it, but he's literally bragging about it to everybody about how he showed up to my job and he's claiming that he scared me. Like, I don't understand why this can't be taken more seriously just because I'm not afraid of him. Obviously, I'm not afraid of him, or else I wouldn't be talking to him. But regardless if I feel threatened or not, the matter of fact is he made a threat, and I have plenty of proof that he did make a threat because he's been freely bragging about it.
And then that brings up the question: if you wanted why did you wait a month to call?
Well, number one, this happened on the 30th, so it has not been a month. It's been a couple weeks at most. Number two, the reason why I didn't call is because I've had situations with Tallahassee Police Department before where I felt that the police that helped me were extremely unhelpful and didn't resolve anything. So I said, what's the point? He left. He hasn't come back. At the end of the day, he is still a crime, and I would still argue that he's a walking criminal because he came to my job specifically to look for me and then proceeded to threaten me, which he has admitted to. At the end of the day, it's still a crime. When I decide to report that crime, should it matter? And this is still an ongoing issue considering that he has sent... I understand it is a back and forth conversation, but in that conversation, you could clearly see that he has admitted to threatening me, and he has also asked me to meet up in person to physically fight him, which I have not agreed to. At the end of the day, it is crystal clear who here is the one insinuating violence and who here is just talking about it.
So all the information I'm giving to you is coming from my sergeant. If you're not agreeing with what I am telling you, I can have my sergeant reach out to you if you'd like him to do that, and maybe he can better explain it to you on why we are doing this.
Okay, yeah, I would. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Well, so if you give me a few minutes, I will have him reach out to you. His name is Sergeant Schultz.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot in there that I don't agree with. For starters, that officer straight up lied to my face. Because I provided a very detailed report about what happened. Not that I had to, because he himself was literally bragging about it all over the internet. This all started on December 30th of 2025. The last incident we had with Dean was on January 12th of 2026. I made the report on the morning of January 13th, 2026, and I got a call from the police on January 14th, 2026. That is exactly 2 weeks and 2 days since this whole shit started happening. And the lady continuously said, well, why did you wait a month? It's been a month. It's been over a month. It's been a month. It's been nowhere near a month. It's been a little bit over 2 weeks. And that is very detailed in the report. You yourself looked at the report, or someone who is authorized to did. And I know that you know because I've already told you everything. I told you the date that this happened. So either you're fucking stupid or you're flat out lying to my face. Even though I'm the one who wrote up the report myself, even though I'm the one who gave you the dates, you're lying to my face and telling me, oh, well, this happened over a month ago. Bitch, this started on December 30th. It is now January 15th as I'm recording this. It is not January 30th. It has not been a month, and it has not been over a month. It is painfully obvious. A threat is basically when you make a direct threat to a specific person or group of people specifically stating that you are going to carry out violent acts to cause harm for them with the intent to scare them. Now, the police are saying that it's not a threat, number one, because I don't seem scared of Dean. What law revolves around a person's emotions? People can be scared of anything. People can be scared of ghosts. People can be scared of black guys. Last year, people were scared of me because I have an Annabelle doll. Your feelings are irrelevant to what the law says. Whether or not I'm scared of Jonathan for what he's been doing, he himself has admitted that it was his intention to scare me all along. And speaking with the sergeant, he did basically say that I waited too long to say anything, and I'm clearly not scared, and therefore it's not a threat, and therefore they're basically treating this as if the situation didn't happen. There's the other thing that they're saying, well, you continue to talk to him after the fact, and you continue to talk about it, so it didn't happen. Yeah, we have freedom of speech in this country. I can talk about whatever I want to. I can talk to whoever I want to. It doesn't change the fact, it doesn't erase the fact that the crimes were being committed. Now, I'm not a lawyer myself, but I do research law regularly. Listen, when I first started podcasting, in life in general, I thought as long as I had common sense and acted right and didn't do anything stupid, I would be fine. I wouldn't go to jail. Once I started podcasting and started getting controversial, shit got more complicated. Before I even started the podcast, I started researching laws for like copyright laws and defamation and basically researching what I can and cannot say legally. Obviously, there's stuff that you can't say or do, but for the most part, because podcasting is just talking, therefore you're using your First Amendment, for the most part, you can generally say whatever the fuck you want to. The two things, there's really only two to three major things that you need to look out for when podcasting. One is defamation. If you know something that is not true and you're saying it anyway just to tarnish someone's reputation, they have the right to sue you for it. Two is making clear threats. So if I come on this podcast and I say I'm going to go kill person A, that right there is a physical threat, and that can lead to me getting arrested for it. Let's say I'm using a song by Fetty Wap as my podcast intro, and I'm using the whole song, and I'm making money on my podcast while using that song. Fetty Wap can now sue me for using his song without his authorized permission. That's a bit more complicated too. Sometimes you can use certain sections of a song. Sometimes you can use certain parts of a song. Depending on the artist or depending on the music license, you might not be able to use that music at all. But generally speaking, you can do whatever the fuck you want to on a podcast. There's a lot of leeway with it. And then throughout the years, more complicated shit has happened. More intense shit has happened. The Annabelle case happened. Number one, people were accusing me of crimes by either stating things that I had never done or stating things that I had done and then stating that whatever it was that they were talking about was illegal. I never planned on becoming a lawyer or becoming a police officer or becoming someone who deals with legal matters. But I was forced to start researching the law so that I knew what was happening to me, whether or not it was illegal, but to also make sure that I myself wasn't breaking the law. And so far, I haven't broken any laws. As a matter of fact, I researched the law so much, I literally have a book dedicated to laws in the state of Florida. And I also research on the internet. I also seek advice from professional lawyers. Now, what I said in the beginning is true. Generally speaking, if you have common sense and you don't have malicious intent and you mind your own fucking business, basically, you shouldn't get into any legal problems. But sometimes it gets a little bit more complicated than that. In the past almost year now that I've been researching laws, I have never fucking heard of not being able to persecute someone because you spoke to them after the crime was committed or because you spoke about it publicly. That right there is a direct infringement on our freedom of speech. And I have heard people say that you can't talk about things outside of the courtroom until after the fact. That happened during the whole Annabelle case. People told me that if I talked about it, that nothing was going to be done. And I said, well, that doesn't make sense. We have freedom of speech in this country. If I'm involved in an ongoing case, let me say what I want to say publicly. And if I'm saying something that's not true, then use that against me in the courtroom. I initially tried the whole shut up and be quiet and let a lawyer handle thing with what was happening at Nova. And they saw that I was keeping quiet and they used that as an opportunity to keep attacking me. I was in a position where I literally could not even go to my room and bolt the door shut without the fear of someone breaking into my home. Mind you, I'm living in an apartment complex where they can literally use their master key to enter my apartment at any fucking time they want to. Legally, they're not supposed to do that, but they did a lot of shit that was illegal. Eventually, I couldn't fucking take it anymore. I couldn't fucking take not being able to sleep at night, not being able to go absolutely anywhere. You know, they came to my house, I leave my house and they're trespassing me from everywhere. I go to work and they show up at my job. There was literally no escaping these people. Eventually, I couldn't keep quiet. I exploded and I posted all the evidence online and I started talking about it. Once I exposed them, once I forced their actions into the spotlight, once I posted all the evidence for the whole world to see, everyone shut the fuck up. The attacks started going less and less and less until they stopped completely, and I had maybe 2 to 3 months of peace before I finally moved out of Nova, and I never had to deal with their bullshit ever again. The whole concept of we can't talk about it and we need to keep it private at least until everything is settled and done and someone is prosecuted is complete bullshit, and it is a mind trick that the legal system uses to try and get people to shut the fuck up so they have time to do their work. That's why they tell you don't talk about it on social media. That's why they tell you don't tell people about it. That's why they tell you don't go to that person and go confront them about it or whatever. Because they want time to do more damage. I will admit that although I do research the law regularly, I will admit that I'm not a lawyer. I'm sure there's plenty of laws that I don't know about that I have not researched yet. In the past year that I've researched laws, I've never seen anything about dropping a prosecution because the alleged criminal was confronted. Matter of fact, I've heard several stories of people confronting someone who committed a crime, whether it was an assault or a home invasion or a threat or whatever it was, and that person still gets arrested after the fact. Because guess what? Confronting someone about a crime that they committed does not erase the crime that they committed. The only way that they won't be persecuted for that crime is if you yourself decide not to press charges against them. It's common fucking sense. Now, I haven't had time to research the law further to see if it's true that if you talk about it or you confront them, that now they basically treat the crime as if it never fucking happened. And someone did tell me that, say for example, say someone breaks into your home, you're legally required to report it to authorities. If you go and confront them, they'll treat it like it never happened. If someone breaks into your car, or attempts to break into your car, or assaults you, or whatever it is, if you confront that person, then they'll basically treat it like nothing happened, which is bullshit. I feel like that's natural human instinct. Personally, if I'm leaving a place and I see someone trying to hijack a car, my natural instinct is to confront them and deal with it and then call the police about the situation. Whether or not that's true, I need to research that myself. But if it is true, that is completely unconstitutional and is a direct infringement on our freedom of speech. I had a conversation with the sergeant, and there was stuff that he said that I did agree with, and there was stuff that he said that I did not agree with at all.
Hello, this is Sergeant Schultz.
Hi, this is Adonis Ortiz. I just got a missed call from this number.
Yeah, I'm reaching out to you. I'm a supervisor here at the police department. I was trying to touch base with you about, I guess, an incident that you reported earlier. I guess the problem you were having with an individual for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. The police officer that I spoke to, she said at the end of our conversation that she got this information from you, but she basically said that y'all weren't gonna pursue criminal charges because I'm not afraid of him, therefore it's not necessarily a threat. And she also said that because I've continued to engage with him conversation-wise, that's why they're not gonna do anything to him. I explained to her that this man showed up to my job with the intent to scare me by threatening me, which he has admitted to online, and I have writing of him telling me and other people, which I shared earlier this morning. And additionally, in our conversation, you can clearly see in the screenshots that I shared with y'all this morning that he continued to ask me to physically fight him, to meet up and physically fight him, which I haven't acknowledged that I haven't agreed to fight him at all. But you could tell from him bragging about threatening me, but also from him being the one asking for a fight, you can tell who's clearly the one who's insinuating violence in this situation.
Okay. And he came to your business where you work at in December?
December 30th, yes, he did. He came to my job, he approached me in the parking lot, and he said word for word, if you keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth or else you're gonna eat your fucking teeth. At that point in time, I hadn't said anything.
What led up to that? You said something about him?
Well, we've been having issues for years now, actually. A few years ago, when I was about 19, I got pulled over for recklessly driving on my bicycle, and the police officer who pulled me over let me go with the warning. I told my friends about it, including Jonathan Dean, who was in my friend group at the time, and Jonathan Dean lost his cool and cut all ties with me. I'm not sure why that was something. It had nothing to do with him. I'm not sure why he felt the need to cut me off, but it's your life. You're entitled to cut off and let in whoever you want to. He then, since that incident, he's done nothing but slander my name by telling people I'm mental, I'm a psychopath. He's even gone as far as to say that I'm potentially a serial killer. We both run our own podcasts. Mine is the Adonis podcast. And I decided recently, after he contacted a friend of mine with the same bullshit about me being a psychopath and a serial killer, I made a podcast episode explaining why we no longer talk and calling him out. About a few weeks after that, because that episode was published on December 9th, and on December 30th, that's when he came to my job and threatened me. Mind you, this whole situation is extremely ironic because at that point in time, I had not said anything necessarily bad about his wife. And since then, he's also quoted things that I've never actually said, such as anytime, any place. Or another thing he said, that he's stating that I said I was going to bring my fairy gloves, which is something else that I never said. So the fact that there's a video and audio recording of me saying things and he chooses to threaten me over stuff that I never actually said is beyond stupid.
Okay. Is there a reason why you didn't call us 2 weeks ago when this happened?
Yes, there is, because I've had situations with the police department before, where I've been in situations and I felt that the Tallahassee Police Department, to be quite honest with you, sir, I'm not saying this to offend you, but I'm going to be brutally honest here. To be honest here, I believe that the Tallahassee Police Department is one of the laziest police departments in the entire state of Florida. I've had repeated issues where nothing was done, even though it was clear who was in the wrong, even when there was proof of what happened. So when this situation happened, I said, listen, many of my coworkers and many people told me that I needed to call the cops right away because that guy could be potentially violent. And I said, what's the point? They're not going to do anything. I know this because I've lived in Tallahassee for 4 years. And for 4 years, I keep getting into situations. And for 4 years, the cops have done absolutely nothing about this situation.
You've been threatened before and we haven't done anything? Or?
Oh, yeah. I've been threatened plenty of times by multiple people on multiple different occasions. I run a political podcast. People do not like me here in this city.
Yeah. So, if I don't know if you're a guy who likes to research stuff or you get downtime, but the state of Florida has a statute, and the statute would be assault, right? And if you're familiar with the Florida statute of assault, but basically it's making a threat towards somebody else, right? And as part of that threat, there has to be an imminent threat, like it's about to happen. And the biggest part of that statute, and one of the elements of it, has to be fear. And the victim, which would be you, has to have an element of fear, right? And when we don't call the police for 2 weeks afterwards, that element of fear is gone. You know what I mean? Like I said, he came to your place of work and threatened you and said he would punch your teeth in, and then you weren't afraid enough to call us for 2 weeks later. The state attorney's office is not going to prosecute that. Nobody is going to go to jail. That's not our decision. That's the state attorney's office. They're not going to take somebody to jail for that, right? So again, I'm sorry to say that we're lazy, but again, we have to go by the way of the law, right? We can't just make up stuff, do stuff that we want to do. And I'm sorry you feel a certain way, but again, I want to help you solve a problem, right?
Right.
So the problem that you have is what? That this guy's bothering you or harassing you, or that you continually respond back to him after he says something to you?
What I
Because
say...
That's not solving your problem. Solving your problem, and I'm sure the officer told you earlier, is to stop all contact with him, right? Ignore him, be an adult, and then be a better person, and just say, you know what, I'm blocking his number. I'm not going to go on his social media account anymore. I'm going to block him on social media, and just ignore him. But my guess is he probably is going to continue to text you or message you on Instagram or whatever else it is, because you make podcasts about him and you keep saying stuff about him instead of just letting something go.
Yeah, well, we still have freedom of speech in this country. If he doesn't want to be exposed
I get it. I get it. You have every right in the world. I get it. That's why it's one of the greatest countries in the world, right? But just because you can doesn't mean that you should sometimes. And maybe that's something that maybe I'm trying to get a point across to you is just because you can do something, just because you can go make a podcast, doesn't mean that you should. Is it really going to help the situation, do you think? Probably not.
So what am I supposed to do? Just sit around and be his little bitch?
No, ignore him.
That's what I've been doing for the past 3 years.
You've got big goals in life, I'm sure, right? You've got big plans and big goals in life, right? And one thing that you're going to have to realize is the older that you get is that people are going to talk, especially the more successful you are, they're going to continually run their mouth about you because they're jealous, right? They want to be you. They want to have what you have, right? But a sign of maturity is that you ignoring them and realize, you know what, they can sit there and talk all they want, but I'm going to sit there and laugh all the way to the bank, right? But until you realize that, right, you're never going to be as successful as what you're going to be able to be is because you're still worried about what other people are saying about you.
Oh, I don't give a fuck what people say about me.
But that's not true. It's obvious that you do because you're following up with him making comments, and then you'll go and put about podcasts. And I watched some of your podcasts on there, and you talk about how family members have died. So you're stirring the pot and making the situation probably worse than if you just ignored it and let it go. I think we can both agree on it that if you just stop bothering him and you stop making podcasts and stop saying anything to him and not responding back to his messages, that you will probably never have to deal with him ever again.
Well, he went out of his way to come to my job, so I would
After what? There was a reason why he probably came to your job. Why do you think that was?
Well, clearly he was pissed off about the podcast, which is the whole reason why I made it.
Exactly. So if you wouldn't have made the podcast, or if you would have just ignored him, or blocked his number, or blocked his messages, would he have ever showed up at your work?
Probably not, but I'm not in control of his actions.
He would not have. He would not have. So we're going to document today, like the officer told you, we're going to document a police report for you, right? You have it on record, right? We're going to document what he said. And again, some of the text messages are a little cropped, so we can't really see what you responded in.
I can send you the uncropped messages.
A lot of times we can go talk to him and get his side of the story, and there's probably a lot more to it than just the one side that we get from you, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to document everything, and we're not going to be lazy with it. We're going to document it in a full offense report. I don't know if you think that we're not doing anything, and I want to rest assured that we're not the laziest police department around, because there's a lot more lazier than we are, and I'm sorry that you feel the way that you do, okay? My advice is to you, like I said before, is to stop talking to, block his number, don't go on his social media, ignore him, and if it continues, then you go down to the courthouse, you go into the front door, you go to the clerk's office, and you fill out an injunction. An injunction is a restraining order. And if he violates that restraining order, where he violates it and talks to you, comes to your work, text messages you, whatever it might be, then he commits a felony. And then he can go to prison, right? But again, there is no crime, there is no charge of anything for assault. Unfortunately, there is no evidence to support that. And then the biggest part of that evidence is fear. And when something is a time frame of 2 weeks later, the element of fear goes out the window, and it's not something that we're going to be able to do anything to help.
Why does the law care about my emotions? At the end of the day, he literally showed up to my job, threatened to physically harm me, and now he is bragging about it all over the internet.
I don't make the laws, right? I don't make the laws. I don't come up with them. Those are people everybody else votes for that comes up with laws. My job is to enforce them. My job is to distinguish whether or not that somebody violates a crime, and if there's probable cause to charge them and arrest them, then that's what we do, right? But I'm also not going to violate somebody else's rights by arresting them just because you want them arrested. And that's not how things work.
He's literally bragging about making a threat. He literally stated that he showed up to my job with the intent to find me and then scare me by threatening me. That is a crime.
But guess what? It's working because you're still bothered by it. Just let it go. Let it go. It's not. And honestly, is it worth your time and hassle? No.
Well, see, this is exactly why I complain about your police department, because clear crimes are being committed and y'all don't do anything about it. People say shit about me all the time. For the most part, I do not care what people say about me. But this man showed up to my job and threatened me, and the whole reason why I did nothing is because y'all weren't going to do anything, just like you're not doing anything now. For the record, I've had the cops called on me for making threats. Look up Carly Lane in your system. Her and I got into an argument, and she put in a false police report claiming that I threatened her, and the police called me with no evidence whatsoever to get more information. I told the cops we had an argument, but I never threatened her. I cut ties with her. And guess what? Putting in a false police report is a crime. She never got in trouble. They left her off the hook. So how come when someone falsely states that I'm threatening people...
We're not the ones that make that decision. That's a state attorney's office, right? If there's a crime and we do a report, and it doesn't happen in our presence, because this thing's 2 weeks old, it goes to a state attorney, a prosecutor. And they're the ones that decide if they're going to pursue charges or not. And if they don't, what do you want us to do about it? It's not our fault. Same thing with before. She might have done a false report, but if the state attorney doesn't want to prosecute it and doesn't think it's worth prosecuting, then again, there's nothing that the police department can do. We're not the judge. We're not the jury. Right? But again, this to me is a situation where there's more to this than you getting upset and trying to get him arrested. Like, just be the better person and be done with it. Like, let it go, bro. It's done. Nobody cares about it anymore. Just let it be done. Right? Again, if you wouldn't go on there and make comments, he's not going to make comments. Just ignore him. There's a lot of other stuff that goes on in life that should make you happy. Don't let this guy get you down. For someone that you don't even have a friendship with him. He hasn't been your friend in, you said, over a year. Just let it go. It's a waste of your time. But again, until you realize that, then that's when you're going to keep having problems and keep getting yourself stressed out and making life miserable for yourself. Just be done with it. Like I said, we're going to document everything for you. Yeah, just because we document something, I'm sorry that you feel like we're not doing our job, but we can only do our job to a certain degree and to a certain extent, right? Again, it should never even have gotten to this point. So take my advice how you want it. Again, we're going to document everything for you. We have all the digital evidence that you've provided in all your text messages, right? So again, the next step is if he shows up at your work, call the police. If he shows up at your house, call the police. If he keeps sending you text messages and harasses you or bothers you, go to the courthouse and file an injunction. We can't do that for you. You have to do that. You can go to the courthouse right now and file an injunction if you want. That's up to a judge to decide if he wants to agree that there should be an injunction order. Is there anything else that we can help you with today, or anything else that I don't know about in this case that is prevalent that needs to be known?
Nope, that's everything.
Okay. So I said, you've got the incident number. That's what we're going to document it under. Again, if he shows up at your work, call the police. Tell your boss to call the police, right? Again, don't wait until 2 weeks afterwards and make it an afterthought and then call. Again, if he's going to bother you with text message, right, block his number. Be done with him. Again, I don't want to go on there in a week from now and see that you posted another podcast about it. But if that's what you want to go, like you said, you've got freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want. But just remember what I told you. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should. That should maybe be the life lesson modern today. Okay? But if there's nothing else that you need, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this report finished and get it sent up. All right?
All right, thank you. As you can see, that became a very heated discussion. And I do agree with some of the things that the sergeant did say, such as don't let people get you down, don't pay attention to what other people say about you, just kind of go after your own goals and ignore the haters. And I agree with that. But that's advice that I already follow. Whether or not he disagrees with it, because he said that he's watched my podcasts before, and him saying that, when he said I'd hate to see another Dean podcast in a week or so, my guess is he keeps up with my podcast from time to time. Which I suspected that the police watched my podcast for a while, since people have started reporting them to the police. The whole reason why I made a podcast about Dean in the first place is because he was slandering my name. And there's a lot of people that do slander my name. But Dean made it personal by going after my friends, by literally taking time out of his day to find out who my friends are and then antagonizing them. And mind you, like I said, that I generally don't give a fuck what people think, and the sergeant said, well, obviously you do, you can see it in your podcast. Dude, I ignored Dean for 3 fucking years before I finally said something about it. If that doesn't scream I don't give a fuck, then I don't know what does. So, the way I see it is this guy basically had shit to say for 3 years, and for 3 years, because he started doing this when I was 19, and I'm now 22 years old. That's 3 fucking years. So for 3 years, he's been talking shit, and I didn't give a shit about it. After 3 years, I finally decided that I was going to stick up for myself and call him out and say something about it. So he then showed up to my job and threatened me, which he has admitted to. He shouldn't even know where I work at. No one should know where I work at, because this isn't something that I talk about publicly. And the reason why I don't talk about where I work at is because I don't want psychopaths like Jonathan Dean to be showing up to my job and causing problems for me. Believe it or not, he's not the first one to show up to my job and cause problems. It's ridiculous. And now he's bragging about it. And it's so obvious, considering the fact that he admits to what he did, but then is also begging me to fight him. He can say all he wants that, you said that we were gonna fight. Okay, you clearly want to fight. And as of right now, there's no proof of me saying. There's no evidence of me saying that I want to fight him. So until there's evidence of me saying that I want to meet up and fight him, as far as I'm concerned, he's the only one who actually wants to resolve this with violence and nothing but violence. There's been other situations throughout the years where the cops have done nothing, like the situation with Carly, and it's not the fact like, oh, well, we don't decide who gets prosecuted, that's the state attorney. Then it sounds to me that the state attorney is a fucking simp. Because explain to me why the whole situation with Carly Lane, initially speaking, and I have the screenshots to prove it, which I posted in the past, we had an argument, and I ended up cutting ties with her. I ended up blocking her. She then went to the police and specifically stated that I was sending her threats on Facebook. The police officer asked for proof and she didn't have any because I never sent out any threats. I don't use Facebook. Sometimes I question why I even have it still, because I rarely post on it. I don't message people on Facebook. Facebook is an old people site. Facebook is for old fucks complaining about shit that's not even worth complaining about. The police officer called me with no evidence whatsoever and basically spoke to me like I was already guilty. He asked me what's going on, why am I getting a call that you're threatening this bitch? And I told the officer what happened, and I offered to show him screenshots, which he denied to see. But it doesn't matter because I posted those screenshots online anyway. Anyone can look up those screenshots anytime they want to. The police department can go on my social media page right now and do some digging and pull up those screenshots if they want to. Or they can contact me and I'll send them over. I'm fine with that. I don't give a fuck. I have personally publicized all the evidence and all the crimes that I've been involved in so far. Same thing with the whole Recess situation. Recess did trespass, which are allowed to do, but they initially wanted to send me to jail for threats made. The police officer looked at the video and he said he didn't make a threat. That might be threatening. You might feel scared. Once again, let's talk about the law and how emotions don't play into it. You might feel scared by this video. You might feel threatened. But at the end of the day, I didn't make a threat. There's nothing illegal about talking shit about someone or a business. It's freedom of speech. And there's nothing illegal about holding a knife on camera there's nothing illegal about holding a kitchen knife on camera while you're standing in your kitchen and filming yourself. The police officer knew all of this before he contacted me, but when he contacted me, he admitted that he was about 50% sure that I was gonna do something to harm the people that work at Club Recess. And he mentioned that after speaking to me and getting my side of the story, that he was about 40% sure that I was gonna harm them and that he needed to make some changes to his reports. And he even went as far as to ask me, can you see, he understood that I didn't actually make a threat, but he said, can you see how that can be perceived as threatening? And I said, it doesn't matter what you perceive it as. At the end of the day, it's not illegal. I didn't make a threat. But the fact that you're already calling me, like you literally admitted that initially you were 50% sure that I was going to do something to harm them. And then you said you have to make changes to your report because, listen, he already wrote up the report and closed out the report. And then when he spoke to me and realized there was more to the story, he then reopened the report and made changes to that report. Let me explain something to you. You're allowed to have opinions on things as a police officer. You're still human. You're allowed to have, you're still entitled to your constitutional rights. You're allowed to have opinions on shit. But let me explain something to you. As a police officer, those opinions of yours don't matter in the final report. What matters is, was a law broken? And if there was, who broke that law? The situation with Recess? Oh, we feel like we're being threatened. Okay, but did I actually make a physical threat? Did I actually break the law? No. Jonathan Dean shows up to my job. Oh, he threatened you, but did you feel scared? No, I didn't feel scared, but he intended to make me scared by making a threat. Thus, that's illegal. These are two completely different scenarios. And then him trying to turn the situation around on me and basically saying that it's my fault for making a podcast about it and using my freedom of speech to stand up to these people. Listen, buddy, I control nobody's actions. If Jonathan Dean acted right and left me the fuck alone, there wouldn't even be a podcast episode about him in the first place. I understand that everything in life is cause and effect, but there comes a certain point where you have to realize maybe the situation is my fault or partly my fault because I was being immature or stupid, or maybe the other person just has no fucking control over their emotions and they think they can do whatever the fuck they want to people. My problem isn't the fact that like, oh, well, we didn't arrest Carly Lane because the state attorney chose not to. No, my problem is, why did you treat me like I was already guilty until you got more information and got clarification that I wasn't guilty? We all say innocent until proven guilty, but it clearly doesn't exist. Why is it that girls that I haven't even met before have accused me of raping them, and the police has shown up to my door with their handcuffs already out? And then after they get my side of the story and find out that I don't even know who the fuck this person is, then they put their handcuffs away and they're like, okay, it was a false report. And then the girl who made the false report doesn't even go to jail. It's literally... Let me pull this up right now. The fact that I know how to make a report as well as the back of my hand is fucking ridiculous. I don't know why I'm even bothering making these reports in the first place, because as you can see, the cops don't do fucking shit about it. So let's see, let's just pretend I'm about to put in a report. Let's see, online reports, report an incident. I'm not actually gonna make a report, I'm just going to the page. There it is, at the very bottom, clear as day, is a disclaimer. Filing a false police report is a crime. So the fact that there are reports out there that have been proven to be fictional, mostly by girls who don't like me, so they decide to put in a false police report that I raped them, or that I assaulted them, or that I did something else, some other crime that I never committed. And we've proven that I never committed those crimes. Those girls should go to jail. And yeah, you have to, no matter where you go in life, there comes a point in time where you need to realize that you can't give a fuck what other people want from you, or what other people think. But there needs to be a point, listen, when people are showing up to my job, causing problems for me while I'm working, it becomes a bigger issue that I'm now forced to deal with. The issue that I originally was ignoring, now I'm being forced to deal with it because you're making it personal. When I don't feel safe in my own apartment because people try to break into my house over a doll, or my apartment complex is threatening to kick me to the street over a doll, and I don't even feel safe locking my bedroom door because the Nova management can just unlock it and go in there and attack me whenever they feel like it, now it becomes a bigger issue. When I can't sleep at night because a bunch of girls are prank calling me straight for listen, a prank call is no big deal. Second prank call, third prank call, no big deal. But when you're doing it for 3 hours straight in the middle of the night and I can't sleep, now it becomes a problem. It becomes an even bigger problem when my friend steps in to try to help me out and you have to hack his phone, and now he is forced to spend $200 out of his own pocket to get a brand new phone because his phone keeps getting hacked. Now it's an issue. For the record, the whole reason why I even know who it is, and this is what sucks about it too, is, well, they didn't go to jail because they're girls. Obviously, they're not going to say it, but we know that's what happened. The cops said, oh, well, we don't have enough evidence. We have evidence. I've posted that evidence online. We found that we had to become our own detectives because the cops wouldn't do their fucking jobs and take care of shit. You want to know how I figured it out? Listen. Those prank calls happened during the Annabelle case, and during the Annabelle case, my phone number got leaked, and a lot of people have my number who shouldn't have my number, whose number I never gave them my number. The reason why I know it was the girls who did it was because of Carly Cropsey. Because Carly called me off of WhatsApp, an app that I barely use, and I was looking through my WhatsApp call log. I didn't have Cropsey's number prior to this situation. But when I clicked on the number in the WhatsApp app, it showed me her profile with her name and her phone number. I then called the number and it went straight to Carly's voicemail. I looked up the number online and public records indicated that that was in fact Cropsey's voicemail. If her friends would have stuck to no caller ID or using burner numbers, chances are I probably wouldn't have figured out it was them, and I probably would have never even guessed it was them, considering that my phone number just got leaked to the whole city. It was her blatant stupidity that ultimately exposed them. Listen, not everything about the Tallahassee Police Department is necessarily bad. They have helped me in the past, and I've met a lot of police officers here who are very nice, who go above and beyond. Detective Armstrong is one of them. Definitely shout out to Detective Armstrong. I was beyond shocked about how tenacious he is with his work. I've also had police officers be an asshole to me for no reason whatsoever. I've had police officers be an asshole, and I try not to pass too much judgment too, because I myself am not a police officer. These people do put their lives on the line every single day by going after criminals. They do put their lives on the line. And, you know, I understand that they're still human and they have to deal with complaint after complaint and situation after situation. And they need to prioritize whose needs need to be met first. They need to prioritize which criminals need to be faced and which crimes are not so petty, are not so necessary. They need to decide, you know, if we arrest all the jaywalkers, there's not going to be any room in the jail cell for all the home burglars. I get it. But when I see police officers just not giving a fuck about their job or doing things that they're not supposed to do, or in this situation and countless other situations, it's clear as day that a crime was committed and who committed that crime or who's intending to commit a crime, and they just don't do about it, bitch, we're paying you. We the people are paying you with our tax dollars, and you're essentially just running over our money. It's like, what the fuck are we paying you for then? So I'll stand by my statement that they are ultimately lazy. I don't have an issue with the police officers individual because they're each their own individual people. Some of them are great and some of them are fucking awful. But as far as TPD as a whole, yeah, I stand by my department, by my statement that they are lazy, and I stand by my statement that they are the laziest department in the state of Florida, because I've lived in other cities in Florida and I've been to other parts of Florida. Florida's the only state where people vacation to other parts of that state. So I've witnessed how police officers handle things, and I've witnessed how they are much more effective than the police officers here in the city of Tallahassee. And I've witnessed how there's less crime in other more populated cities than in the city of Tallahassee. When I said that the police department is the laziest in the state of Florida, I said that out of anger. I'll admit that I said that out of anger. But I don't take it back. A lot of us have a tendency to say shit out of anger that we were holding back for a long time, and then we take it back after we've cleared our heads and we've calmed down. But it still hurts. And let me explain to you why it still hurts. You ever get into an argument with a friend or a family member and they say something hurtful, and even if they apologize or they take it back, it still hurts, it still lingers in your mind? Let me explain to you why that is. It's because when we're angry, we tend to not hold back, and we tend to say and or do things that we were already thinking about for a long time. So anger has a way of revealing the truth. Me saying this has got to be the laziest police department, something that I've thought several times in the past over the years. It was something that I was holding back. Something that I hadn't stated publicly yet. Something that I was like, well, at the end of the day, they have helped me in the past. They might not be the best police department in the world, but they have helped me in the past. And at the end of the day, who am I to pass judgment? Because I myself am not a police officer. And I'm not the one out there putting my life on the line. And they have to deal with shit on a daily fucking basis. They have to deal with multiple people. I'm not the only one in the city having problems or running into problems. They have to deal with people all the fucking time. All day, every day, 24 hours a day. They want to go home and see their kids and spend time with their family. Then they get an emergency call because there's a shooting on campus, for example. I'm sure there were officers that were off duty who got called on duty because of Eichner's actions. But it's still a thought that I've had in the back of my head. And in that conversation with the sergeant, I got angry. I'm frustrated because I'm sick and tired of getting into these situations and nothing is done about it. The criminals aren't brought to justice at all. And they're made to be walk free. Oh, well, you can just block him. Dude, he showed up to my job. If I block him, who's to say that he won't show up to my job again or show up to my house again? Well, if he does, just call the police. Why? Y'all don't do shit. For the record, if any unauthorized person shows up to my home and enters my home without my prior consent, I'm not going to call the police. I will kill them with no hesitation in self-defense, and then I'll call the police. But I don't think it's going to get to that because, quite honestly, this is the last fucking time I'm ever calling the police. I don't know why I thought it was it was stupid on my end, first of all, because here I am thinking it's painfully obvious, I think Dean is begging to go to jail at this point, to commit a crime and then brag about it all over the internet. Dean is literally begging to be put in a jail cell. And if we were just next door in Jacksonville, he absolutely would be in a jail cell right now. But the police don't want to do their job. They don't care about the people. We pay them with our tax dollars, and they don't care. And Dean is just a handful of many people that I've had to deal with. Let me tell you something. The reason why I'm not scared of Jonathan Dean is because I'm used to dealing with people like him. He's not the first person to threaten me. He's not the first person to want to hurt me. He's not the first person who's tried to hurt me or has hurt me. He's not even the first person to show up to my job and cause a problem. So I'm very used to it. Had this been my first time, maybe I would have been more intimidated by him, and maybe I would have been more obviously scared about the situation and would have gone to the police more quickly. Maybe if he threatened someone else, maybe if he threatened a girl instead of a guy, it would have been a completely different situation. The matter of fact is, he still committed a crime. How I feel about it is completely irrelevant. He still committed a crime. And that crime was threatening to cause bodily harm to someone. Here on moving forward, when I get into situations, I'm not going to call the police. I'm going to handle it by myself. And that will include getting violent if I have to. For a while, I've basically lived with the basic code that not to use violence unless it was absolutely necessary. And if things got to that level, then call the police. But it's clear as day the cops don't give a shit. Like the sergeant even said, it should have never gone to this point. Yes, I agree with you. It shouldn't have gone to this point. If y'all did your fucking jobs, it never would have gotten to this fucking point. So I'm going to start taking care of shit myself. I'm about to be the guy where if you do some shit to me, I'm not gonna hop on a podcast and expose you for it, or call the police and file an incident report that will lead to ultimately nothing. I'll just punch you in the face, right then and there. For the record, I wear metal gloves. That right there is solid metal, and I also wear steel toe shoes, and I can kick pretty high. I know y'all have seen the video. So let's be realistic here for a second. If I were to use my shoes to kick someone, it could cause significant damage. If I were to punch someone, now you might be bigger than me, you might have more muscles than me, you might be taller than me, you might be able to fight better than me. All I need is one punch from these. One punch from these can knock out your teeth, can break your nose, can give you a concussion, can possibly even kill somebody depending on how they're hit or where they land after they've been hit. It's not my intention to go out and get into violent situations. It's not my intention to imply violence onto other people. It's not my intention to hurt anybody. That's why I haven't mentioned that these are metal gloves. The reason why I wear these is because I think they look cool and it goes with my style. I like it for the style and I like the way they look. I don't wear it for the sake of hurting people. It's not my intention at all. I've always had predictions. I wouldn't even call them predictions. I would call it more of an intuition of some sort. Where I get a feeling that something's going to happen in the future, and it's happened countless times where the exact thing that I've predicted ended up coming through. I can't name a single prediction of mine that hasn't come true. And one of my predictions is that I'm eventually going to go to jail. And I've pondered exactly how that's going to happen because I'm not the kind of person to do illegal shit. I'm not the kind of person to go out and intend to. I'm not going to wake up one day and kill someone or wake up one day and randomly decide to rob a gas station or something. Now I understand exactly how it's going to happen. People are going to watch this podcast and people are going to take it as an invitation to attack me whenever they feel like it. Not the bashing kind, not the threatening kind. I mean, things are going to get very physical and very violent. And I'm going to respond with violence. Someone is going to get hurt, and they're probably going to get hurt badly considering that I wear metal on me at all times. And then I'm going to be charged with aggravated assault, and they're going to put me in a jail cell. That is exactly what's about to happen. And it's such bullshit because if someone were to say some shit to me right now and I punch them in the face and knock their teeth out with my metal glove, I would instantly go to jail for aggravated assault and I could argue, but they did this, but they said this. It doesn't matter. You're the one who committed the crime. You're the one who couldn't control yourself and you're the one who attacked. But when someone attacks me or threatens me or whatever, oh, well, what did you do to provoke them? Oh, you used your free speech to make a podcast about them. Okay, so this situation is your fault, not theirs. The system is backwards. It's such bullshit. They pick and choose who they want to go to jail. Why do you think Hollywood is so corrupted? We've got all these celebrities doing shit on camera every single day that normal people like you and I would immediately go to jail for. The only reason why people like Diddy go to jail is because people post evidence online and it becomes so painfully obvious that the system and authorities and the judge and prosecutors have no choice but to take action. That's why the system wants you to shut the fuck up. That's why they tell you, if you talk about it, we're not gonna do anything about it. Because they want people to not use their freedom of speech. They want people to shut the fuck up and not talk about it so that they have more leeway to do whatever the fuck they want to whoever the fuck they want to. Talking is the key to most problems. Charlie Kirk talked about this when he first started out in Turning Point USA. He said a big reason why we need to talk and why we need to discuss things is because it's a solution to our problems. When people don't talk and there's built up tension and people do nothing but argue with each other and they just don't talk and there's built up tension, violence breaks out, shootings break out, violent things happen, and violence hardly ever solves the problem. At the end of the day, You could be mad at me, I could be mad at you, say I beat your ass. At the end of the day, you're still gonna be mad at me. You could be in the hospital, or I could be in the hospital. At the end of the day, we're still mad at each other because we didn't talk shit out. We didn't resolve anything. Talking is so, so important. Because when we don't talk, when we just shut the fuck up, that's when people operate in the shadows. That's when people don't watch their actions or don't care about their actions. That's when more violent situations happen. But that needs to wrap up today's episode. This is the Adonis Podcast.